James Madison was an American statesman, a political theorist, a revolutionary, the youngest member of the Constitutional Congress, a founding father, and the fourth President of the United States. Madison was born in Virginia, March 16, 1751. He was a wartime president, and together with Thomas Jefferson formed the Democratic-Republican Party. He served as Secretary of State for 2 terms in the Jefferson administration, and he was a very popular president and remained popular despite the serious setbacks he suffered in the War of 1812. And so when he became president, he was elected for 2 terms in landslide wins. He was first raised on a small farmhouse, but as a child moved to this large plantation mansion known as Montpelier. Madison's father, James Madison Sr., had acquired substantial wealth through inheritance and through his marriage to Nellie Conway, the daughter of a rich tobacco merchant. As a child, James Madison suffered psychosomatic seizures, which are stress-induced seizures that are similar to epileptic fits. He was well enough to experience a fairly typical childhood, and he devoured books of all sorts. He mostly studied classical languages. Madison attended the College of New Jersey, a wooded campus about 45 miles from New York City, at what is modern-day Princeton University, where he graduated in 1771. He returned to Montpelier in 1772, where he began to formulate his ideas that would manifest in the Federalist Papers, the Virginia Plan, and ultimately the Constitution of the United States. And so it was here at Montpelier where Madison, along with John Jay and Alexander Hamilton, would write the Federalist Papers, a collection of 85 articles and essays which promoted the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. The Federalist Papers were published in 1788. Provide the key concepts, politically and philosophically, the key concepts of the idea of governing by rule of law, among other things. Federalist Paper number 10 provides one of the most important concepts in the founding of this nation. And that's the idea of preventing rule by majority. Thomas Jefferson called rule by majority mob rule. Instead, James Madison and others believed in governing by the rule of law. And in Federalist number 14, Madison declared that the United States is a republic, not a democracy. He believed the Articles of Confederation exposed the young country to social unrest and possible foreign attack. He pressed for a national convention in 1787 and persuaded George Washington to chair the meeting. Madison drew up and presented the Virginia Plan, which served as the framework for the U.S. Constitution. Madison worked diligently to ensure the Constitution was ratified in each state. The whole process was led by Madison and was entirely supported by the publication of the Federalist Papers. James Madison is generally considered to be the father of the Constitution, but this was an honor that he rejected. Madison did not readily accept this distinction, saying, "You give me credit to which I have no claim." This was not like the fabled goddess of wisdom, the offspring of a single brain. It ought to be regarded as the work of many heads and many hands. Madison was elected to the House of Representatives in 1789, where he introduced the Bill of Rights, which guarantees civil liberties for American citizens. During this period is when he joined with Thomas Jefferson to form the Democratic-Republican Party. In 1794, a 43-year-old Madison married Dolly Payne Todd, a 26-year-old vivacious widow with a young son. She became very popular and later became known as an active, well-liked hostess in the White House. In 1799, Madison served as Secretary of State in the Thomas Jefferson administration. Foreign policy during this time was dominated by the Napoleonic Wars in Europe, and as Secretary of State, Madison oversaw the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, which effectively doubled the size of the United States. After 2 terms as Secretary of State, Madison was elected the 4th President of the United States, and he won in a landslide. What defined his presidency more than anything else was the War of 1812. He initiated the war with England after the British began seizing American ships and impressing merchants and American sailors. He tried diplomacy, but diplomacy did not work. And so in June of 1812, Madison convinced Congress to declare war on England. By August of 1814, the Brits had invaded Washington, D.C., burned the White House, and Madison was driven out as the U.S. lost. The Capitol burned, and the U.S. was defeated on land and at sea. Madison sent James Monroe to negotiate a peace treaty, and with the Treaty of Ghent, the war was ended. During his presidency, James Madison also reauthorized the Bank of the United States, and in 1816, the Second National Bank was chartered with a 20-year term. His policy during his administration toward American Indians was very protective. He believed that American Indians would benefit from the new American civilization. In fact, Madison ordered the Army to protect all native lands from any foreign invasion. There is some evidence that Andrew Jackson, a military commander at the time, disobeyed the president's order. But James Madison served 2 terms, winning both times in landslides. And in 1817, he retired from politics, returned to Montpelier, where he found his plantation was in decline due to his stepson's mismanagement of the property and due to the declining price of tobacco. In 1825, Madison worked with Thomas Jefferson again to open the University of Virginia, and on June 28, 1836, James Madison died at the age of 85. The last of the Founding Fathers.